Hey guys, it's Ben here with MTM. Welcome to the video. Today's video is going to be about body armor and just basic information you need to know. We're going to go over the body armor setup I have, not really the carriers, but just the actual plates themselves. If you're in the market for body armor or just looking to learn more about this type of technology. Today's video is going to be about like I said, just information about it that would be very helpful for you, along with why I chose these two plates and just information like that. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. I have some notes here that I took just to help keep me on track here. Alright, so there are three different kinds of materials that are used in body armor. There's steel, there's ceramic, and there's Kevlar. Now, starting off with Kevlar, it's flexible. It's usually the stuff that you will see police officers wear. It's easy to conceal. Usually that will be worn by CEOs or public figures, politicians, even security guards. If they're undercover, they'll have this Kevlar on them because it's just very easy to put under a jacket or even under your t-shirt and not be noticed. How it works, it basically, if you think of a trampoline, just the action of jumping up in the air and coming back down, and you're slowly bending that trampoline down, but it's slowing you down, and eventually you'll get to the bottom of that trampoline and it'll start to shoot you back up. So if you just think about coming down and then it's stopping you and stopping your force going down into the ground, that's kind of how Kevlar works. It's just a big cushion for the bullet when it's hit. We'll go over into ratings in a little bit, but that's kind of the idea of this flexible body armor. It just kind of catches the bullet and does not shatter it or anything. Usually you can just pull the bullet right out if you're testing Kevlar, and it'll be perfectly intact. Alright, now we move on to steel and ceramic. These are pretty much always plates like you see here. They are usually put in carriers and they're a lot less concealable, but they usually stop more different kinds of threats, more powerful threats like from rifles and things like that. We're going to go into steel. I would not recommend steel. Steel is usually a terrible idea. They're trying to come out with different coatings for steel, and the idea of steel is that when the bullet hits the steel plate, it does not have that deceleration like Kevlar does. It completely shatters the bullet, and the problem there is when the bullet shatters, it'll shatter on your chest area, and it can go up, and the spall and frag can go up and into the bottom of your neck and go through your brain and kill you still. So that's why steel is usually still not a good idea, because there's not a whole lot of good coatings that protect that from happening. It doesn't keep the fragments of that bullet enclosed in the plate. There are some people that have tried to put bed liner, that rubberized coating, and it's just a marketing scheme, really. It will not protect you. I wouldn't trust my life to that type of technology. So I would recommend to absolutely stay away from steel plates. Then we go into ceramics. Ceramic body armor. This is going to be the focus of this video because it is the type of technology can stop the pretty much all rounds that you come across, and we'll get into that. But they are right here. There are two ceramic plates from two different companies, and we'll go over that a little bit later on. They're usually more expensive than both steel and Kevlar. They're like I said, they're better at stopping, and they don't have the same problem that steel has. And they're safer, and they're lighter weight. That's another thing with steel, is that steel is usually very heavy, and for a couple minutes it won't really bother you, but if you're out conducting operations or something like that, steel starts to really weigh you down. If you've ever been backpacking, walking around your house or walking around the city with a backpack doesn't really affect you, but once you're on hours and hours of a hike, that weight starts to affect your back. Kind of the same thing with body armor and steel. That will increase the drag, and you will become a liability and not an asset in whatever situation you're in. So the way that ceramics work, since I've described all of them, really kind of a dumbed down of the technology, but basically there are 2 layers. There is a ceramic side with little ceramic squares, and there is a Kevlar backing to it. And usually what happens there is the bullet will come in and it'll hit the ceramic, which is not enough to fully stop it, but it can fragment the bullet or slow it down significantly. And when it takes all that energy in, it takes enough energy in that Kevlar backing is able to absorb the energy of the rest of the round that comes in. So you won't have the problem, and it encases the fragments and the bullet in its entirety. So what you have there is the bullet does not have the same effects as if it hits a steel plate, which is really great, and this is what we're looking for. So all right, so that's that. I think I already mentioned this, but they're lighter than the steel plates. So they come in different sizes, in different use cases. So there are front and back plates. Usually you will get one plate that will be front and back, but sometimes some companies will have a dedicated front plate and a dedicated back plate. So they'll have to figure that one out, what you want better, and that's just usually the shape. Sometimes they're curved, sometimes they're flat, and sometimes they have different angles, which I'm going to get into here later on. So here are the different angles. There's sappy cut, which is basically kind of very square, and there is full cut, which I believe is what this one is. There is shooter's cut, which is basically when you're shooting, more of the right, if you're a right-handed shooter, more of the right side is exposed so that you can get a good stock seating in your shoulder pocket there, but it won't be on the left side. And I think you can get it for left-handed, so it's the opposite of what that is. And then there's swimmer's cut, which basically is like that specific shooter's cut on both sides. So that's what this Hesco plate is. It's a swimmer's cut. It has that same lack of armor in this area, so you can get a better stock grip on your shoulder. There are also side plates that you can put on your sides. Some carriers, a lot of them now do not have places for you to put it. You'll need to get that separately on a lot of carriers. Like on this one, it's just bungee to hold magazines, but in the GWOT, and they're still selling them, but you can have little side plates that cover your vital organs on the side, just in case you're breaching or something and someone's on your corner, and if they shoot you in your side, it's not just gonna go through while your armor's on the front and back, leaving your sides exposed. There is 2 different kinds of plates. These both are standalone plates, which means that they don't need any accessories to be able to use them. So they're just plug and play, throw them in a carrier, and you're good to go. There are other kinds of plates that are in conjunction with. They'll usually be cheaper, but you need to get a type of backing to prevent back face deformation or deformation, which it's basically when the bullet is caught and it doesn't penetrate your skin or your body, but it causes a almost shock effect to your organs. It can break bones, it can cause internal bleeding, and essentially to kill you. Also, just it won't be a penetrating wound. So that is something to look out for as well. There are 3 things that you should account for. There's protection, the protection level that you're looking for. There's fit, how it fits to your body. What are you looking for? For instance, with men versus women, men can have a flatter plate on their chest, while women will have to possibly get a one that has more of a curve in the front for their chest area. Just so that it's more comfortable. It covers organs better, because that can also affect how it sits on the body. And then there's comfort. So like, for instance, with steel plates versus ceramics, the steel might stop the bullet. You can also die from spall and frag, but even if we're not talking about that, it's very uncomfortable. It's very heavy. It's very bulky. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have those for anything more than LARPing around your house and shooting in the backyard. The next thing that we're going to talk about is you want to buy your armor for whatever kind of rounds that you're going to face. And a good rule of thumb is that whatever you shoot, you should buy armor for. So this is why you see police, they mostly have Kevlar soft armor on, because that rating of Kevlar, we'll get into the ratings, but that level of protection is for their handguns. They're not carrying around rifles, so they're not wearing plates, like hard plates like here, like ceramics. So that's just something to think about. And you might be asking, what is the different ratings for body armor? So there is a official way that we classify body armor in the United States. Russia has their own kind of classification and other parts around the world, but we have an institute called NIJ, which is National Institute of Justice, and they are the ones that create the ratings, and they proctor the tests of plates for companies, if they so choose. We'll get into that in a little bit also. So there are 3 main ratings. There is 3A, 3, and 4. So level 3A, level 3, level 4. Level 3A is Kevlar. You'll see police, what they're wearing, that's 3A. Level 3A is supposed to protect handgun rounds up to 44 Magnum. It will not protect against rifle rounds or anything like that, but it is protecting against handgun rounds. Something to note with this too is just because these things are rated for firearms does not mean that they will stop knife attacks or bladed objects. So that's something to note. That is a whole separate, different category of being able to protect against those kind of weapons. There's different levels for slashing and stabbing. So just to air that out there, throw that out. We have level 3. This is usually steel or ceramic plates. They usually stop rifle rounds, and the rating for the NIJ for level 3 is 7.62 by 39 ball ammunition and 5.56 ball ammunition, and 193 is the 5.56 ball ammunition. So the level 3 will stop those threats. And for number 4, or for level 4, they are usually made out of ceramic, and they will stop 30-06 armor piercing AP rounds. So that is level 4. Something to note is that usually level 4 will be cheaper than level 3. However, I have seen that they do not take multiple rounds, multiple hits very well for level 4. They can take 2, maybe 3 rounds of compromising the plate, but they will not be able to take as much as level 3 is what I have seen. Level 3 plates, you can get up to 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds of protection against its rated threat. But level 4 will not be able to do the same thing for the same exact rounds, but it will be able to protect against a higher energy munition or something like that. So that's just something to note there. So there is something that's very important to know with body armor rating, and that is NIJ certified versus tested, and you have to be careful about this on manufacturers' websites, because certified is when the manufacturer has developed a plate and has shipped it off to NIJ for them to do their independent testing. Now, that is extremely expensive, and you will see that in the price when you are looking for these plates. However, when you see it say just tested and not certified, that means that the manufacturer has instead tested the plate that they have designed themselves, or they have sent it off to some other third-party organization to do testing. So these have not gone through the official process of being tested by NIJ, which is a lot cheaper, and that's why you can see these plates for a lot less money on the internet, on whatever the manufacturer's website is. But just keep in mind that they have probably not got that official certification, and take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes they don't give very open information, and that is a little concerning sometimes. So that's up for you. If it's more helpful for you to get that at a cheaper price and take that risk, that's up to you. All right, so these are the two plates I have. I forget what carrier this is. I think it's it's a Ukrainian company, and this is Spirit System LV119. These two plates are the HESCO 3410s. These are level 3 plus, and they're not made anymore, but they're a really great plate. And this one is from Ace Link. It's also a 3 plus. So I forgot to mention this, but 3 plus for body armor is a rating that is specific to the manufacturer. So what do I mean by that? 3 plus is a rating that the manufacturer has said, we have met the standards either through being certified or testing on our own or a third party, that we have met the standards of the level 3 rating. However, we have gone up and beyond what those ratings are. So that means that it can stop maybe the same bullet but armor piercing, right? So level 3 is just ball ammunition from an AR-15 or an AK-47. But a special threat plate, which is the 3 plus, means that maybe it can take a armor piercing round, the new M855A1 round, that's a steel core. And what that is just saying, hey, we have got the standard here, but we have our own classification, which means that this is independent of each manufacturer. So level 3 plus for this one is different from level 3 plus from this one. They're two different companies. They both have their own ratings, but they have both met the same standards for level 3. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for these plates. There's a lot of snake oil, and sometimes it's a little bit confusing, but just be aware of that. So I'm going to go over these two plates really quick. So the HESCO plate is 5 pounds, 5.8 pounds, so not too heavy, right? And the Ace is 4.9 pounds. Now that might not sound like a lot, but it makes a whole world of difference when you're hours wearing these plates, right? It does make a difference. Thickness, the HESCO is thicker. You can also feel the weight difference when you pick the plates up too. The thickness of the HESCO is 1 inch, and for the Ace it is 0.85 inches. So a little bit smaller here. The the shape of this. I don't know if you can see, but it's more curved. This one still has a curve, the Hesco, but it's a little bit flatter. That is just a preference thing about how it sits up against your body. The Hesco can protect against more rounds and different kinds of ammunition than the Ace can. At least that's what I've seen, because the Hesco provides more information on the testing since it is certified versus the Ace, which has a very minute amount of data that I have been able to find. They both can take 6 rounds of the following. M193, that is lead core. They can take 6 rounds of 7.62 by 39 M67, which is also ball ammunition for the AK-47. That is lead core. They can both take 6 rounds of M80, which is 7.62 by 51. That is 308. And that's the data that ends for the Ace. I do not have any more data on that. The Hesco can take 6 rounds of 7.62 by 63, which is 30-06. So again, 30-06 is not a type of ammunition that is covered under level 3. However, Hesco, since it is their special plate, they have done their own testing and have found that it has been able to meet that standard. And that 30-06 is also standard ball lead core ammunition. Now moving up to mild steel core, M855. This is the typical green tip NATO ammo that we find all across the United States, and it can take 6 rounds of that. There's M43, which is 7.62 by 39. That is the same thing, but as M855, but for the AK-47. There is 7.62 by 54R. That is the cartridge that's most commonly known for being shot out of the Mosin Nagant. That is a nasty round, and it can take 1 shot of that. And lastly, it can take, for armor piercing, this is the only armor piercing rating on this list. It is 7.62 by 39 API, which is just an armor piercing bullet for the AK, and it can take 3 rounds of that. So those ratings are just the amount these plates can take before they're compromised in their structure and can allow rounds through. Okay, so moving on. Just going over the idea of why I chose these plates for myself and my wife. So my plates, so I'm going to try to compare and contrast them. So my plates are ideal for fighting. They're a fighting body armor, as you can see by the plate carrier. It's supposed to be an overt loadout. For her, it's just for get off the X, get out of the initial contact scenario or whatever. If we're in the city and we have to go through the city during SHTF or bugging out, she can throw this on, and we can just try to get through and bug out and not come into offensive uses of these pieces of kit. So mine is made for hard use, mobility, and shootability. So you don't want a super bulky plate that will prevent you from moving, because that's arguably the most important thing in small unit tactics for an individual, is being able to move. And shootability. Like I said, it has these cuts. It takes off some protection from the sides of your torso, but that's acceptable because we're trying to get a good shouldering of the rifle and be able to return fire when we need to. For her, it's for comfort and coverage. So like I said, it's curved, so it feels better on her body, and then it has more coverage than mine because she does not need as mobility as I do, and honestly, I care more about her than I do myself. So I want to be able to protect her with the best things I can. Hey guys, one last thing that I forgot to mention. You want your body armor to fit properly, and there are different sizes for different plates. And where you want to have coverage is from your belly button all the way up to your clavicular notch. That's to protect your vital organs like your heart, your lungs, some intestines, your liver, and just things like that. You also want on your back for them to overlap and be parallel so that they cover the same area. So thanks for watching. What are your prerequisites for body armor? Leave those in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.